it's a very common path actually for founders. I see they start with some sort of people-based agency model. They're serving clients in the space, and then they start seeing the same problem over and over again. So tell me about kind of that inception. Like, what was that aha moment for you guys?
So we were serving, the consumer, mostly consumer businesses for those agencies. And we saw a common pattern in terms of that agencies, they love the big, large clients because they were giving them the largest share. So whenever a smaller size client pops in, they just give the lesser priority, of course, and also do the assign, suppose, the most junior, most account manager to attend to that one. So what happens is that, larger size businesses, they are more secured with, because the agencies are giving the all to support in the larger size businesses.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ignite podcast. Today we're delighted to have Rubaiyat Farhan on the program. He's the co-founder, COO of Markopolo AI, a startup from Bangladesh, and a startup, frankly, I wish I would have invested in on their first round. Didn't quite have money in one of our funds when we met them, and by the time I did, the round was closed. But thanks for coming on the program anyway.
Thank you so much, man, for hosting me. It's a privilege to meet you.
Yeah. Would love to get an intro from you for the audience.
Right. So I'm Rubaiyat. I'm a materials and metallurgical engineer. And I did my MBA in marketing too. So while doing my undergrad, I actually started my first startup from my college dorm. It was in project management space, SaaS product in project management. And we grew it to 100K in ARR. And I took an exit from that just after the pandemic and started my new startup with my college friend, and that's Markopolo.
That's amazing. So tell us about the inception of Markopolo. Where's that name come from? How did you guys come up with the name? What it is? Did you guys pivot? All that stuff. Tell us about the inception.
So in terms of Markopolo, naming convention, so me and Tasbeen were scratching our heads about catchy name because it's in Martech space, and these marketing individuals, they love this name in terms of that. And one thing, it should be catchy. Another thing, it should be something that, that resembles our product too, in terms of being in marketing space. And another part of that is easily rememberable name. And so we're thinking about some inspiration. So Alibaba came into our mind. Alibaba is a simple name, but it's a catchy name, and people know it either in South Asia or Asian part. People know the story of around that, and then it's a household name now. So we thought about something like that, and from the marketing phrase, we got the Markopolo name, and also the gaming one, like Markopolo, the game. So Tasbeen's child also loved that, and. So that actually came from Markopolo. And in terms of the inception, how it started, after the pandemic, when the pandemic just ended, so me and Tasbeen, we were actually even though we were college friends, we're not that much, in touch, but we met in, founder meetups or something like that. And in that, one of those founder meetups, we actually got to jam onto what new ideas we can actually work upon, something like that. And both of us actually were I was leading my startup, business development. She was leading her startup. She was also working in a visual aid startup. So she was leading the business development in her startup. So we both were struggling in somewhere, in terms of marketing, in terms of growth. And Tasbeen was also consulting with some smaller size businesses. Almost all of those had been facing something with marketing, either way, during the offline to online transition due to COVID, or with the marketing budget constraints after the COVID. So something like that. So me and Tasbeen, we were thinking that, okay, so yeah, we have some experience with marketing in terms of our own startup, or marketing in terms of theoretical knowledge from my MBA, something like that. But we didn't actually have that first-hand experience in terms of serving in industry with marketing or in this space. So we actually thought about how to start, and both of us agreed that we need to serve some, clients first to understand this market. We need to work with some clients first. And me and her, we actually started an agency type module first. We both went to the one of those largest agencies in South Asia, and we told them that we have a small team, and in that team is specialized. Our specialty was in data science, ML, and marketing agencies or advertising agencies. They don't have those specialized people in terms of that. So if we can work as a vendor to them, if that can be an option, and they just like the idea, like how we were thinking about adding value to their clients. And that actually started the inception of Markopolo, you can say, like, from serving those agencies, from serving the clients of those agencies. That actually gets started.
That's amazing. And it's a very common path, actually, for founders. I see they start with some sort of people-based agency model. They're serving clients in the space, and then they start seeing the same problem over and over again. So tell me about kind of that inception. Like, what was that aha moment for you guys?
So we were serving, mostly consumer businesses for those agencies. And we saw a common pattern in terms of that, like agencies, they love the big, large clients because they are giving them the larger check. So whenever a smaller size client pops in, they just give the lesser priority, of course, and also they just assign, suppose, a most junior most role, account manager to attend to that client. So what happens is that, larger size businesses, they are more secured with, because the agencies are giving their all to support in the larger size businesses. But the small and medium sized ones, they got a varied experience with those agencies. And that's why they tend to switch a lot. And we saw this pattern a lot, like in terms of their service quality, in terms of how they want to get the service. So that's where we thought that how about we productize this thing rather than this service, how about we productize this thing. The thing came along like marketing in autopilot. That was our vision, like marketing in autopilot. And we created a streamlined version, our MVP, you can say. And in around 2021, last half of 2021, we launched in product. Until then, it was, it was a region. We thought it was a regional problem. We are serving around the client. But when we launched in product one, that was the moment, I would say, like we got that, like, individuals, smaller size businesses, they were actually coming to us, to our simple landing page, to a simple MVP, and they were asking questions. Okay, I needed this. Okay, I love the idea. I needed this or this type of features. So that was the moment for us. Okay, we can get started in this.
Wow, that's amazing. And so you started locally. You launched on Product Hunt, and then you realized this is like kind of a globally applicable problem. So maybe you can talk about what that problem is, who your target customer is, and where are you finding those customers? Yeah.
All right. So the initial problem statement that we wanted to solve is that, the smaller size budget that these small, medium businesses have, we wanted to maximize the, efficiency in terms of utilization of that budget. Because they have this budget constraint, $5,000, $10,000 US, and they have to spend these the most efficient way. And that's where we thought that we need to have a product that can actually do that on behalf of this user in all those platforms. Either it can be paid advertising, it can be even like content marketing in terms of those. That was the initial idea that we wanted to solve, and we created the MVP.
Yeah, amazing. And so how's it going so far? Like what's your mix of customers in Southeast Asia versus, do you consider it as Bangladesh Southeast Asia or South Asia? What do you consider yourselves?
It's South Asia. Yeah, it's South Asia.
Yeah. So what's your mix of customers in Bangladesh versus internationally now?
Most of our customers are from international, actually. So in terms of customer split, we got around 93% of our customer revenue comes from globally, and the rest actually comes from Bangladesh. Mostly in Bangladesh, currently we mostly serve the larger size enterprises now. So in terms of globally, the split comes to the smaller and medium-sized business.
Yeah, I love that. So how do you think your background in MarTech ad tech kind of informed how you run your business now?
So in terms of, how we actually handle these, how we got the experience firsthand. So I say every knowledge that I got about MarTech, about ad tech, I got it firsthand working with my clients. Every step of, every changes that came into this industry, I actually work with those clients. I actually understand the impact that changes have in their businesses and work with them. So this includes, the privacy changes. So this includes all those updates that Facebook and Google does in every other day. And all of these, I actually learn with them, and I actually, implement those inside the product, implement those knowledge inside my personal.
Yeah, so maybe you could talk a little bit about the timing and why it was the right time for this business, because you're trying to track this first party customer data with a new kind of precision, and the reason we have to do that is why.
Exactly. So, in terms of the privacy changes that happening, like, Apple's iOS blog, so you can imagine it as island. This type of large conglomerates, they want to build an island surrounding them. They don't want to share their resources or data with others. So that's where the issue comes in. When Apple did their iOS update, they just blocked data sources for most of the marketing platforms. And that's where all the results dropped in. That was the major reason that happened. And then, even though Google is delaying their part of, the privacy changes, all those data sharing update that they have been saying they will implement, but the industry has already evolved towards that, the iOS change and that following up with that. So with these actually, like, the first party data tracking, owning up your own data, that theme actually came. So when we started, we actually created our own pixel that was not like it was the market standard of owning your pixel, serving that to your customers so that your customers can track those data. But those pixels quickly became antiquated after the iOS change. And so we had to evolve. We had to think of an architecture that's both privacy centered, consent oriented, and also it can track those precious data for that business, with which it can retarget those customers, with which it can utilize that in terms of their marketing decision making. So that's the first thing that we cracked, you can say. And our product name is MarkTag. It's a server-side tag. And we built it in a way, the architecture in a way is much more efficient, and the core essence of it is privacy. And also it can go head to head with Google Analytics, server-side GTM, this type of solution.
What is to stop? That leads into kind of the next question that most investors would probably have, like, what's to stop Google or whoever from just going, oh, like, interesting, you have a tag-based solution. And these tag-based solutions have been around for a long time, right? What's to stop Google from going, okay, yeah, we can just solve this?
Well, Google has its own agenda in terms of, transitioning towards, like, they had their universal analytics, then they transition towards GA4. That transition took around 2 to 3 years to transition, like, in terms of they notified the user, okay, the GA4 will come. Then finally, even right now, if you go to your universal analytics, it still says that it will sunset after 55 days. So it takes Google much more time in terms of, moving from one direction to another direction, when as they're focusing on server-side GTM, then focusing on the nuances inside server-side GTM. So this type of direction takes much more time for a behemoth company or a large incumbent. For a small company or efficient company like us, we can quickly solve this, and we innovate on top of that. So that's not the core focus of us. We have solved that. The next focus is that utilization of that data. So that's our core focus.
And how do you think about the size of the market? How do you guys price this? And, how big is this market?
So in terms of our vision, like the product vision that we have currently, like the product has evolved throughout the time. So previously, it was something like we wanted to build a marketing automation software for paid advertisement that can work with budget optimization, efficiency, something like that. Then it evolved towards when we actually started working with those smaller size businesses. We actually got to understand that data is everything for more as the business grew. So we actually evolved towards that. Then came the MarTech part, like efficient data infrastructure. Then after that comes the utilization of that data. So we are building the AI copilot now. That's where our product roadmap lies, and that's where our product vision is. So the AI copilot, how we are envisioning is that utilization of those individual data, and the software can actually orchestrate the customer engagement journey on behalf of the business. Whenever a visitor comes in, how it should be engaged so that it can plan, the AI can plan actually a conversion workflow for the user. And with that conversion workflow, the business can actually get the maximum conversion or return from all those customer engagement touches. And that's the target addressable market that we are aiming for, and that's almost $8 billion market. Initially, we are aiming a 10x smaller market with, Shopify, e-commerce being, or this type of smaller size businesses who spend around $10,000 to $50,000. Slowly, will transition towards the larger size businesses in terms of marketing spending, in terms of budget.
Right. And you guys have been doing a pretty good job. You've been growing pretty healthily. How do you go acquire customers, and what would you tell, I guess, your non-competitors of how to go acquire customers? What has been your kind of secret sauce there?
So we have two phases of that. One phase is for acquiring larger size enterprises. So as we believed in keeping a lean team, a small team to acquire customers. So keeping a small team means you don't have that much, human resources for customer support, that much human resources for outbound go and approach those customers. So that's why we believed in affiliates. We believed in partners who can actually help us in terms of acquiring and maintaining those customers. In return, we can actually do the revenue split with them. So that actually worked for us. So our recent example is we recently launched in Japanese market. So we partner up with one of the largest tech implementation partners there. What they do and have been doing is that they just translated our whole sales tech. They went and pitched our, the sales tech to those larger size clients that around them, whom they serve already with other products too. And they are helping us with the account management too. So in terms of human resources, they have those human resources that they are tech implementation partners. So this actually does. So this is one of our, secret sauce, you can say, and this has already worked in MENA region too. So the markets which are budding, which have this type of partners like tech implementation partners, agencies, we are actually partnering with.
Yeah.
That's all secret sauce.
That's interesting. So you partnered with a local company that they're taking like a percentage of the revenue that they help generate in Japan, basically, right?
Exactly.
That's a kind of a local partner, and that's pretty common in Japan. I think it's a pretty hard market to enter without a local partner.
Exactly. So for us, if we wanted to go individually, we had to do paid ads, we had to do PRs, we had to do find the local.
Plus all the cultural kind of on-ramp and trying to figure out all the language barrier and all that. Yeah, that's tough. That's really interesting. So what's your vision for where this is in like 10 years? Looking back, this was a huge success. Like, where did it get to? And where do you want to be in 10 years?
So in this, you can say almost 3 years. So what we have learned is that, we have to stick with the idea. If we believe in the idea, then it can go well beyond the vision that we are envisioning onto that. In these 3 years, we got around 4 acquisition offers. When we were at we were at 1.5 million in ARR, we got $37 million in acquisition offers. So we didn't jump into that. we got acquisition offer from a company that raised $150 million US. So this thing actually helps us, understand that the vision that we are envisioning, that ought to need to be, jumping in, or we need to be giving your all in. In next 10 years, we want to give our all, and the aim is to reach the coveted, the 100 million ARR mark, and we want to reach that. That's the ultimate vision. With the product too, it will be evolving with the latest introductions of large action models, this type of tech inclusion in the product. Yeah, we want to be there. We want to reach there.
That's great. What is going on in Bangladesh with all this entrepreneurship? I get a lot of deal flow from there. You got the Bangladeshi Angels, which I think we met through. I have somebody on Team Ignite, actually. One of my analysts is from Bangladesh. Like, there's just a lot going on there. What is it about the country that's fostering all this creativity and entrepreneurship?
It's a budding ecosystem because, so much young individuals in the whole demography, and these young individuals want to do something. And you can say, in a way, the blooming Indian startup ecosystem, in a way, is influencing the Bangladeshi startup ecosystem because it's so close. And with all those unicorns coming in the, in Indian ecosystem, people are pushing towards that. And like any blooming ecosystem, it started with a fintech, fintech-based solutions. Like Bikash is one of the Bangladesh's pioneer startup in this space. And when they got those investments in, and when they grew to be a unicorn, and that actually helped others to actually dream, you can say. And after that, solutions like Patal, these Uber alternatives. So this type of solutions came in, this type of startups came in. Then I would say SaaS ecosystem is still nascent because, most of the Bangladeshi companies that were working in software ecosystem or, SaaS ecosystem, they were actually, most of them were dev shops, either dev shops, or they were building for, WordPress ecosystem, this type of Magento ecosystem or Shopify ecosystem solely, not, a universal product or global individual, something like that. So I think there are coming changes, a good change that's coming into the ecosystem.
That's really great. And you have a background in sustainability. You've done some pro bono work in that area. Can you tell us about that?
Okay, so that's one of them, you can say my passion space. So a cool highlight. So while working in this, I was actually dreaming of opening e-waste, electronic waste recycling plant out of Bangladesh. It should have been the first and a large facility in Bangladesh that can actually solve the electronic waste issue surrounding us, because Bangladesh has almost the second and third and those electronic products that ultimately goes to electronic waste, and there isn't that much refinery or something like that in there. So we wanted two things. One, it would be sustainable, and always my business mind comes into play. So we wanted it to be profitable in some way too. So me and some of my batchmates also in my college, we actually envisioned something like that. And what happened in the next phases is that we went to Thailand. We talked with one of the, one of the largest players inside here. Well, we talked about the financing part of the thing. We talked about securing loan from Swiss banks. We were securing investment from Dubai-based conglomerate. I went to Dubai to pitch a Russian oligarch. So he was talking in one year he was talking with a Qatari sheikh, and in another year he was hearing me out in terms of the pitch that I had, with the electronic waste. And it was something right after the grad, after my college, I got to experience something like that. It was something amazing for me, in terms of experience, and I got to actually pitch him, and also I secured the funding from him too. but all of these efforts ultimately came down to the COVID part of that, and then it got slowed. Then the Russian-Ukraine war came in, and Russia got all the sanctions. So it didn't ultimately move. And dream in that, you can say, didn't ultimately came true.
Love that. I love that. And I think it's a lesson there to follow your passions, and you don't know where it's going to lead. I mean, I got into tech in a similar way. I was really into solar energy, clean energy. It's like 15 years ago when it was kind of nascent. And when I moved to SF, I actually wanted to work in the solar industry, but I ended up at a solar tech company. And that's how I got interested in demand gen and marketing tech, was through my interest in sustainability and solar energy. So it's just a good lesson of like, just keep following your passions, and it's hard to connect the dots kind of going forward. But looking backwards, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Like I pivoted that way and I pivoted this way.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, why don't we wrap up with a quick rapid fire, if that works?
Okay.
What is one book that has profoundly influenced your professional life?
It's Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits. That one. Because, the essence of that, I actually try to, implement in my life too, in terms of making small changes or small progresses towards the vision. That's the thing. Like everything in my life, I want to do that, and I actually implement that in my life too.
So the lesson from that book is basically to make little changes consistently, and they kind of compound over time.
Exactly. That's the one.
Do you have an example of something that you took from that book and how it impacted you?
Yeah, I'd say, it's a recent one, I'd say. So I try to be health conscious, and for that I lose some weight, then gain some weight. So it's a vicious cycle for me. So recently I wanted to start, in terms of going to gym. So what I do is that, so Atomic Habit, I would think, it's a straightforward example. You need to make it obvious. You need to make it attractive. You need to make it simple, and it should ultimately come down to be like enjoyable experience for you. So what I did is that I for making the gym experience obvious for me, or for me to start, I actually started in front of me. I actually kept my running shoes, so that whenever I sit inside here, while working, I actually see my running shoes in there. I bought that and recently, and I love then the next obvious thing is that using that, going into the gym and go every day into that. So that ultimately it becomes a habit too.
Yeah, I love that. I recently I've been trying to lose weight as well. I gained a bunch during COVID, and what worked for me, I was working out, I was running, I was playing basketball. I got the Tonal home gym, this weight training machine that I love. I'm hitting 2 years on it. I've gained a lot of muscle, but I was having trouble losing fat. I lost maybe 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go through that.
Then it becomes stagnant. Yeah. Then it becomes stagnant. Yeah. It's really hard to lose in the ups at that level.
Yeah. And so I needed a kickstart. And I had lost weight before with caloric restriction, counting calories, but it's very onerous, right? Oh, I had a banana. Yeah. I had this. I had that. And so what I started doing was intermittent fasting. And I started with an eating window of, just basically lunch and dinner. Basically 8-hour feeding window, call it 12 to 8 or 12 to 7, something like that.
Exactly.
And that was having some success. I lost another 5 or 10. And so I was encouraged to start going a little bigger. I started doing one meal a day for a while. I lost another 5 or 10. And then I started going really big. And now what I do is I go a 4-3 diet where I don't eat Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Whoa.
So 3 days a week I eat nothing. Just 0 calories, just water and salt, electrolytes on those days. And that is now another, 5, 10, 20 pounds. And there's been a lot of stories online of people losing, 50, 60, 70 pounds doing this 3-day a week fasting. And it's hard. I get a little irritable, but you get a lot of energy from it, and you lose weight very quickly. So I'd encourage anybody to read Eat, Feast, Repeat, I think is what it's called. Eat, Feast, Fast, Repeat, something like that. Really good book on all this intermittent fasting stuff.
I'll definitely look into it. I really need that. Yeah.
It really works. Yeah. If you just like throw in a 36-hour fast and see how you feel. It's going to be hard, but like you'll notice that like if you eat like say Sunday night and you don't eat Monday, Mondays usually you're so busy anyway. Mondays are busy. So Monday's a really good day to fast. When you wake up Tuesday, you won't even feel like eating.
Okay.
It's really strange. Like you'll get really hungry around dinner time on Monday, like 5 o'clock. You'll be like, I really want to eat dinner. And then if you just kind of like, just avoid the kitchen and drink some electrolytes, which you should definitely have like the salt, just to kind of, your body needs that, and drink lots of water, obviously. And Tuesday, you'll feel amazing. You'll wake up, you won't even want to eat. You'll be like, I feel great, because your body's in ketosis. It's flipped the metabolic switch to burn fat. So that's been really working for me.
Whoa, that's some amazing finding.
Yeah. And then the more you do it, the more your body's able to switch to fat burning easily. And so you're kind of training your body to be like, oh, there's no food, no problem. I'll just burn fat. And I'm getting used to, your body gets used to it.
So one thing I did when I lose some weight is that I actually avoided all the carbs. Eating a carb I just avoided. I just focused on only the protein and some veg. That's the way I did, and with that weight training. So that actually helped me back then. Like I lose around 30 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. But after that I became like the work started really heavily, and I missed the routine. Like, whenever you fall from that, then like you can't just you have to be consistent with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's easy about the 1 or 2 days a week. You can start with like 1 day a week, and then you could go to 2, and then now I'm at 3, and it's crazy how well it works. I mean, like it's just like you just drop pounds really fast when you're not eating. If you could automate one part of your daily routine, what would it be and why?
I haven't thought about that actually. Like in terms of like automating one part.
I know exactly. I know. I'll answer for you, and then you can maybe this will jog your memory. But for me, it would be replying to email. Like if I could get an AI, if I could get an AI to basically reply to 95% of my emails.
If Siri could have done that, if Siri AI assistant type like that could have done that. Yeah, that's the one thing. Another thing is that all those meetings. Like I have read about Amazon, the meeting policy that Jeff Bezos has. So I try to implement that in my with my team too. Like that actually drastically reduced the meeting time. Yeah. And previously there were like 6-7 meetings a day. Now it's just 1 or 2 meetings.
You guys do the doc read at the front where you guys spend the 10 minutes reading the doc. Yeah. It's really effective. I worked at Amazon, probably the hardest I've ever worked in my corporate career when I led the AI category there globally. I launched SageMaker Marketplace, as you know. Yeah, that PRFAQ doc read thing really, really works because it gets everyone aligned. Nobody has time anyway, right? Nobody's going to read your doc before you get there. Let's just admit that and like start the first 10 or 15 minutes. We're going to read the doc and then we're going to discuss the doc. And what'll happen is it creates clarity and it creates a meritocracy. Because
and you are kind of in the zone. You are kind of in the zone, and each of the individuals they can actually chip in. Previously, what happened is that they were zoned out. Okay, my slot is done. I will be zoning out. That's all. But now it's like it's kind of like a different part on that. Like they have to be chipping in. They have to be involved, and they are involved, more involved people.
Yeah, what an amazing. I mean, Bezos. He'll go down as one of the greatest businessmen of all time. His ability to create a winning culture is just amazing. I would ask, the next one on my list is emerging technology, but everybody knows it's AI, so I won't ask that. What's one marketing myth you'd like to debunk?
I think there is a myth is that, marketing has to be a human-centric one. Like a human has to control every aspect of the marketing. Yes, that's, truth in one aspect is that the creative part of the thing, the creativity has to come from the human mind, but the execution that can actually come from artificial intelligence or a machine learning algorithm. And if we can perfect that, then the creative side and the execution side actually makes the perfect, execution for any type of business.
Love that. What is your favorite tool or software for productivity?
Notion. Yeah.
Oh,
Notion
Notion?
is one. Yeah.
I haven't got into Notion. What is it about Notion that you like? I'm just like, oh, I call me old school, but I use Google Docs for everything. But what is it about Notion that's better?
It's really simple, and the UI is something like, you want to work into that. So it's like addictive, the UI. So I actually like read some articles about the UI part of the like Notion, and that's the thing. Like that's the I would say like yes, they have all those features. They're like easy to maintain docs and everything like that. But the user experience of Notion, that's the thing that you want to attach to the product. Like you give your heart to the product. I think that's also the thing that made it so much a large product being loyal product user being.
What are like your top 3 or 4 or 5 features that it has that you just can't live without that Google Docs doesn't have?
So for Notion, in terms of maintaining the docs, it's all linked inside here. It's kind of like directory. So all inside here, you can actually maintain that. Also, in terms of managing the data inside that, like you can just create a Kanban board inside that. Yes, recently Google launched the Kanban inside, Google Docs. You can create something in. But Notion has it, you can say simplistic embedded inside that. You can easily build the tables, you can easily manage your data. And it's kind of like a notebook, you can say. It's kind of like a diary that you love, like all the things in here.
Yeah.
And also, it's really easy to manage with the team. Like your teammates, I'd say, one thing I'd say is that it's kind of like Asana or Jira for anything outside non-tech team. So
like I know I should probably like convert my venture capital firm to it. I just haven't gotten around to it because Google Workspace is free with our Gmail, and it's just like it works good enough. But like it'd be really nice to have all my notes for all my startups kind of in a directory, and so you can see like in a very structured way like what we thought about that startup when we met them, and all the notes and the scoring, and it all can kind of flow together.
Exactly.
And you basically can create a database from your documents pretty easily, right?
Yeah. And for startups, they have like $1,000 starting like credit too that we are using currently. So for last 1 year, I think we didn't pay anything, didn't have to pay anything. That's the cool thing. But I should say like you didn't have that startup incentive. Yeah.
I don't know. We're kind of like a startup at Team Ignite, but yeah, I just don't want to pay $80 a month for it. I think that's my problem. That's $1,000 a year that I don't need to spend right now. So yeah, I've been thinking about that. But anyway, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone starting in the MarTech space?
I would say it's quite common for all the industries too, is that work with your clients. Clients are facing this problem, and you need to solve the problem that is common to a large demographic. Don't solve a problem that's localized. You have to solve a problem that can be generalized to most of your clients that you are working.
I mean, that's general advice for anything, right? Talk to your customers,
exactly.
Figure out what they need.
Exactly.
Get out of the building, as Steve Blank would say. What is the best piece of feedback you've ever received?
Don't sit in a table with sharks. This was advice that I got from one of my early advisors when I started my startup, journey. That I tried to partner with everyone, but there were some, you can say misuse of my resources, misuse my time and everything. Whenever I tried to partner up with someone much larger than me, it was a common thing. And then I got the advice that you need to partner up with individuals with common goals and with almost common ground. And without that, partnering up for business is something you ultimately can see. Like it's not a universal rule, but can say something. So you need to be cautious about those things.
Yeah, I've heard that before as well. If you weren't in tech, what would you be doing?
I'd be working on the recycling project, the electronic waste recycling project. Like I have a long last dream, even though like right now Malaysia doesn't have the electronic waste recycling plant, a full-fledged one. I want to be at any point of my career. I want to do.
And it's a huge problem, right? I went to Bali recently, I guess that was a year and a half ago already, but we went to a beach, beautiful beach. And then we're like, what's on the beach? And it was all plastic. It was covered in plastic. I mean, literally the entire beach was, wall to wall, ship to shore, rock to rock. It was, I mean, you couldn't take a step without
it was same
stepping
for
on plastic.
Andaman too. It was same for Andaman too. So me and my wife actually went to Andaman, like I think last year, like at the end of last year. So what happened is that the island where we stay, like the shoreline was fully covered with plastic that came from Myanmar. So all of those plastics accumulating inside those shorelines is just like demolishing the marine life out there. So people are actually doing the self work. They are collecting that, but how much you can collect when like the shoreline is completely covered every day? Then how much can you actually cover? How much can you collect?
I'm really looking forward to them. And we almost backed a startup in this area. It was so far off our thesis, but they were creating biodegradable plastics, right? So your straws, your packaging, soda bottles could all be out of this compostable plastic. And once it touches seawater, it degrades.
Okay. Amazing.
So it just turns back into just food, basically, for fish. It just degrades.
Amazing idea.
Yeah. But any kind of other water, it's fine. It's very durable. It can last years and years on the shelf. But as soon as it touches seawater, it just turns into like muckety muck for the fish.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, this was an amazing conversation. How can listeners find out more about you and Markopolo?
So they can connect me with LinkedIn. My LinkedIn ID is Rubaiyat Consult me for. And about Markopolo, they can go to Markopolo's website, www.markopolo.ai.
Well, thanks so much, Rubaiyat, for coming on the program. This was a really fun conversation.
Thanks so much, Ryan.